Welcome to Stache Sports episode 26. What games we had yesterday? First, we had the Patriots versus the Texans. That game had a combined 8 turnovers in that game. That's wild. But it was a close game throughout until near the end when the Patriots pulled away. But the Houston Texans had 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions by C.J. Stroud. And that's not how you win games when you have 4 interceptions. But even though the Patriots only turned one of those turnovers into touchdown because they had a pick 6, and I think they only got 7 points off of 1 turnover. But the Patriots won against the Houston Texans. What a turnaround had the Patriots been. They had a good head coach in Bill Belichick a few years back, and a future Hall of Fame quarterback, and one of probably the greatest quarterbacks in Tom Brady. It had dominance all those years in the Patriots. But after Tom Brady left, they didn't do so good 1 year, and didn't have a good year, but drafted Drake May. And after getting Drake May the right coach, and Mike Vrabel, who used to coach the Tennessee Titans, which I think was wrong, but the Titans fired him after having a couple good years in Tennessee. And having one bad year, the Tennessee Titans fired him. I bet Tennessee Titans fans are mad, but they fired him. That's probably why they're finding yet another coach in Tennessee and cannot keep a coach. But Mike Vrabel, who used to play for the Patriots, had really turned that program back around. In 1 year, a couple years of being the coach there, he has really made them a lot better after coaching them. Now he has 1 game away from going to yet another Super Bowl, and going against Jarrett Stidham, who used to play for the Patriots. But hats off to Mike Vrabel and that coaching staff for turning the Patriots around. Even though I'm a Steelers fan and don't want the Patriots to tie the Steelers or beat the Steelers in most Super Bowl wins. That was quite a turnaround from a coach. Let's hope the Steelers can get a young coach too, or maybe a coach of retread. We'll get more into that later on this episode. Last night in the snow-filled Chicago area, we had the Chicago Bears versus the Los Angeles Rams to decide who goes to the NFC Championship game to play the Seattle Seahawks. That was a back-and-forth game, and Caleb Williams came in clutch at the very end, tying that game at 17 to go to overtime. Another overtime game because the Buffalo Bills was another overtime game in the playoffs. You gotta like that near the end to watch that game. Both teams had a chance to have the ball, but it came down to the Rams at the end kicking a field goal to end up winning that game and going to the championship game. So now it'll be the Seahawks and Rams and Patriots and Broncos to see who goes to San Francisco to play in this year's Super Bowl. But Saturday's games were wild. I do still believe today that the Buffalo Bills got absolutely gutted and absolutely robbed. What is a catch these days? I don't know. These refs don't even know what a catch these days is. These refs don't even know what a catch is these days. I really do believe that Brandon Cooks had that ball and had possession because I think his knee was down. So I think Brandon Cooks definitely had possession over that ball and should have had that ball. But that's the icing on the cake. That was a really bad call. And why don't the booth challenge that? They challenge everything else sometimes that don't need to be challenged. Why didn't the booth challenge that in the most important game of the year, deciding who goes and plays in the AFC Championship game? But also, in the overtime, they called a ridiculous pass interference call against the Buffalo Bills, which was absolutely insane because the Broncos had the Bills should have got a call against the Broncos, which would have led the Bills to have a 1st and goal in the 4th quarter near the end of the game. But the refs did not call that one, but called the other one. They need to be consistent these days and call the other plays. They don't need to be deciding games. Because then people might get concerned and think they're trying to do it for gambling, because there's been a lot of gambling news and going around in sports and all the sports. But with all that being said, today I woke up to news of Sean McDermott after 9 seasons. Of being the Buffalo Bills head coach, got fired today because of getting robbed and not being able to win a championship game. He's had a lot of success in winning playoff games, but not being able to get to the main one, the Super Bowl. Some might say that it was a GM's fault, Brandon Beane. And I do think there too. The top receiver this year was Shakir and Shavers, who was the number 2 receiver near the end. They didn't need a receiver's help And a couple of years ago, I can remember that the Buffalo Bills had prime opportunity to draft Xavier Worthy from Texas University, but ended up trading that down to get Keon Coleman from Florida State. And Keon Coleman from Florida State, even though I like Florida State, go Noles, has not been doing so good this year, and not been doing so good in the pros. And Xavier Worthy, even though he's been hurt sometimes, has looked a lot better. And turning out Josh Allen, who knows? Maybe they were in the AFC Championship game today if they would have done that. And if they would have done other stuff with the owner. But for some odd reason, Brandon Beane got promoted to be the president of the Buffalo Bills football operations. It'll be interesting to see now where Sean McDermott ends up going. Who knows if he goes to the Pittsburgh? I don't know. They've been talking to coaches of shred, like Brian Flores. There's also reports that they're talking to Mike McCarthy. He gets to coach the Packers and Cowboys. I really hope they did not hire Mike McCarthy. I think that'll be a huge mistake for the Steelers. But Sean McDermott might not be bad. Yes, I know he hasn't been able to get to the championship game with a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Josh Allen and an All-Pro quarterback in his prime in Josh Allen. But sometimes it's the GM not giving you the right pieces on defense and offense to go around that star quarterback. Who knows? And it might be interesting to see if Sean McDermott can make a young quarterback good, because that's what the Steelers are going to need, is to try to see if they can make a young quarterback good. If they can make a young quarterback good. But that's what the Steelers need. But who knows what the Steelers will get. I wouldn't be surprised if they look at Sean McDermott or try to interview Sean McDermott now. I think Sean McDermott will get a job somewhere because of all the success he has with Buffalo, even though he couldn't get them to the Super Bowl, the most important game of them all. Tonight, in downtown Miami, we have the Miami Hurricanes, and we have the Indiana Hoosiers playing in the national championship game. Indiana is looking to win the first national championship in school history, and Miami is looking to be another Florida team to win it since Florida State, I believe, won the last. But we'll see what happens tonight. It's going to be interesting to see because the last couple games, Indiana's fans been outnumbering the fans. But today's game is going to be in Miami. But I still think that Indiana's fans might outnumber them because I've been hearing reports on all these social media apps that Indiana fans are really hitting the secondary market really hard for these tickets to the national championship game to try to see their team finally win a national championship game. Kirk Zanetti, the coach of Indiana, is from down here in Pittsburgh, a hometown kid, looking to take Indiana to the championship game. After coaching James Madison to success and other stops he's been at, Coach Zanetti has turned around Indiana in 2 seasons and is 1 game away from winning the national championship game. But Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes are looking to spoil that. Carson Beck is looking also to win his championship and finally get a championship that he cannot get at the University of Georgia. But we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting game. Will the Indiana Hoosiers be able to turn the ball over like they did against the Oregon Ducks and get a crucial takeaway? Will Mendoza be able to live up to the pressure like he has been all playoffs? I think it's going to be a good game tonight. I think it's going to be a close game tonight. I think it's going to be a good and close game tonight. But I think Indiana finally pulls it off and wins the national championship in Miami. But I think it's going to be a good game. I don't care really who wins. I just want it to be a good game. I don't know if Indiana could do yet another thing they've been doing against Alabama and Oregon and smash them like they did to Alabama and Oregon. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do think the Hoosiers win a close game because I think Mendoza has that talent and living up to the pressure right now. And I think Indiana just has that chip on the shoulder. But I think Miami could make it run for the money, unlike the other 2 teams have in this playoff so far. The Penguins are playing the Seattle Kraken tonight in Seattle and are going on a long road trip, or a decent road trip, and coming off an overtime loss in the shootout round. And yes, we know that this year, for some odd reason, the Penguins have been really pathetic in the shootout rounds. They have not been able to do anything in the shootout rounds and have been losing all the shootout rounds I think they've been in. Something needs to change before the end of the year if they want to be a playoff team. They need to start winning these games against Seattle and other teams and not losing in shootouts, even though they get 1 point, because they need to keep getting more points to try to get to that last playoff spot. Even though there's still plenty of season left, the Penguins don't need to be messing around and need to get back on track tonight against the Seattle Kraken. Crosby needs to have a goal tonight against the Kraken. And other players. Brian Rush scored tonight too. But I'll be watching the college football championship game while that game's on. But we'll see what happens to the Penguins. Hopefully they can get that bad taste out of their mouth, even though they came back to Columbus Blue Jackets to tie it to go to overtime to get at least 1 point out of it. But we will see. It'll be interesting to see, like I said tonight, on what fan base is there for the most game and how this game is. Tonight, the Indiana game starts at 7:30 on all the ESPN networks. It'll be Miami versus Indiana. And yes, I know some people on this channel are not going to like me picking Indiana, but that's how I think it's going to win. Because I know some people like the Miami Hurricanes, and I think Miami could win too. I don't really care who wins. I just want it to be a good game and hard fought. I want it to come down to the very end like the Bears game did last night, or like the Bills game did. But I don't want the refs to be getting involved like they did in the Bills game. I do believe that the Bills got cheated and that Sean McDermott should still be coaching. But it'll be interesting to see where Sean McDermott goes, because I don't think he's done yet. Let's just hope the Steelers don't get. We'll see what the Steelers do for a coaching job. But now that's 10 head coaching jobs that are opening this year. 2 of them have been filled according to reports by John Harbaugh going to the New York Giants and Kevin Stefanski going to the Atlanta Falcons. But that's 8 other jobs still yet to be open. I believe that this has been the most head coaching firings or demotions in or stepping down like Mike Tomlin did in quite a while. I don't remember the last time that we've had 10 head coaches either step down or get fired. But we'll see what happens to that. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. It's a new era. I guess now the most important thing in football is to win a championship game, even if you're a tenured coach. You see, because Sean McDermott's there for 9 years, but now he's looking for a new job. It'll be interesting to see who else falls, or whatever coaches get hired. Some people are trying to wait for the Rams to be out of the playoffs, like the Steelers, to try to maybe interview Coach Shula, or Steelhouse, or Nate, or Coach Nate, the quarterback's coach. But we'll see what happens with that. Like I said earlier, I really just hope it's not Mike McCarthy, because I think that'd be a huge mistake. I don't think Mike McCarthy is good at Dallas, and I don't think Mike McCarthy is a good coach. But we will see. We will see what happens. This is Stache Sports signing off. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the game tonight on ESPN. Thank you for watching Stache Sports. If you have any comments, please leave them below.